It was a distinct pleasure to get in the trenches with Jessie Bates. This guy's the real deal. First Star Logistics, the sponsor, Jessie Bates, the guest. That's a good combination right there. I think you're really going to enjoy this one. Jessie Bates is a class act, a great football player, got extreme intelligence. He's a locker room leader. Jessie Bates has a great story. Fort Wayne, Indiana. He's really done a lot at every level, high school, college, and now the National Football League. And he still has not reached his peak. He's got a lot left to prove and a lot left to get done, and he will get it done. Welcome, everyone. And yes, your eyes are not deceiving you. That is Jessie Bates, and he's joining me today in the trenches with Dave Lapham, presented by First Star Logistics. And we're emanating from our beautiful First Star Logistics studios. And Jessie, first of all, appreciate you taking time. It's a busy time, I know, with organized team activities in full throw. Appreciate you carving time for us. Thanks.
Of course, man. Thanks for having me on.
So we're going to go in the Wayback Machine. Not that far back. You're not that advanced in age. It'd be a Wayback Machine for me. We're going to go back to your high school days in Fort Wayne, Indiana, Snider High School. Played football, and if we're talking Fort Wayne, Indiana, got to be talking some hoops too, right? I mean, football and basketball, were those the two big sports for you?
Yeah, I grew up playing, football and baseball actually before basketball.
Really?
My whole life up until like starting from 6 years old, up until high school, I was playing all three sports. So I just thought football was kind of like my love for the game. Was a little bit more realistic for my bigger dream. I didn't think there was a lot of 6'2" point guards in the NBA, so I decided to play football. And it's done well for me.
So you were a point guard in basketball, huh? When you were playing
I was a point guard. Yeah.
Now, were you a scorer? Were you a guy that nose to belly button defense guy, good ball handler? What was your game?
Yeah. I felt like I was a little versatile. Obviously, I was a very good defensive player. In basketball, being able to guard always, the best scorer or something like that. And then also just being able to get other people involved. I think that is what I was pretty good at throughout basketball as well. And I think that's why I played all three, throughout, high school and stuff like that, because that stuff like that translates to football, which was my main focus going into my senior year. So just stuff like that, getting people involved and, tracking the ball, and baseball, same thing as, tracking the ball in football. So there's a lot of stuff that correlates there.
So did you play center field in baseball then?
Yeah, I played center field in baseball, yeah. I would lead off sometimes.
Oh, leadoff hitter.
Yeah. I think my senior year I got backed up into probably like the fourth or fifth spot. I hit a couple home runs and stuff like that. So I started growing up.
There you go. So initially, after your stellar high school career athletically, you were going to go to Toledo, I think, initially, and then decided that you'd go to Wake Forest. What was that decision-making process and the overall recruiting process like for you?
Yeah, the recruiting process was pretty weird, honestly, as far as just not getting like a lot of looks. I felt like I had really good film. I caught the ball. I had a bunch of interceptions in high school, but I was just never, I thought I would never really pass the eye test because I never really got in the weight room throughout high school. So I was probably about 165.
Really?
Safety that was running about a 4.7 or something like that. So I was, I wasn't very explosive or anything. But once I got to Wake Forest, I had that redshirt year and I was able to build on that. But back to the recruiting process, I had Toledo and Ball State going into my senior year. And I was talking to my mentor. I'm like, hey, I just want to commit. So I didn't think a lot of teams were going to start recruiting me going into senior year. Um, so I was committed to Toledo, close to home. I was like, cool, I'm good. I can go to Toledo. And then Wake Forest, Minnesota, and Iowa were all talking to me a week before signing day.
Oh,
Um, and they were deciding between like a 4 or 5 star guy uh, of who was going to get the offer. So they were all like waiting on this guy where he was going to commit. So I had got the Wake Forest and Iowa offer a week before signing day, and I had to decide where should I take the official visit to because they wouldn't push my signing day back. So I was like, I got to go somewhere warm. So I was going to Wake Forest, and I love the facilities and everything that they had going there. So Coach Elko had a big deal with that. So yeah,
so
so now I'm here.
yeah, in high school,
Long process.
were you a one-way player, safety strictly? Did you play offense as well, two-way player?
Yeah, so at Snider High School in Fort Wayne, we don't really. There's not a lot of guys that play both sides
Right,
of the ball.
right.
We were pretty, talented, obviously, on both sides. And I played safety, punt returner, kick returner, and stuff like that. That's the only offensive thing I did, really.
Right, right. Well, so you redshirt your freshman year, like you said, and then your redshirt freshman year, 5 interceptions. You returned 2 for touchdowns, and you did some punt returning at Wake Forest, correct?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, yep.
So what was that like? I mean, you bust onto the scene with 5 picks, and you go to the house twice. What was that like?
Yeah. I remember it like it's yesterday, honestly. We played my second game of college football was at Indiana in Bloomington.
Oh,
So I had maybe 30 friends and family up in the stands. Indiana never offered me, never talked to me at all. So it was kind
right.
of like, I gotta prove myself. So I actually caught a pick six in that game. I had 2 interceptions. We played really well, and we beat Indiana, and they were ranked as well. So that's when I kind of like got on the scene, and I kind of gained that confidence, and it kind of led on to my second year of playing as well. And then I had got hurt my redshirt sophomore year, and it kind of scared me a little bit. And I decided to declare after 2 years of playing in college football.
I think you had 5 interceptions both of those seasons, though, didn't you? Something like that.
I'm not. I think I may have had 3 in the second. I'm not sure, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
And I think one year you averaged over 20 yards a punt return.
Yeah, I had so my last game was the Belk Bowl in Charlotte at the Panther Stadium, and I had returned a punt return in the bowl game for a
Really?
touchdown. So
Huh. That's cool. That's
yeah,
definitely cool. So you go to the combine in Indianapolis, and you being the Indiana native and playing against Indiana. Now you're at the combine. What did that mean to you? You obviously you finished in the top 5 in just about every measurable category at the combine. You had a heck of a combine and showed everything. The short shuttle, 3-cone, vertical jump, broad jump, you name it. You were amongst the best in the country at your position. Was it a motivator that it was in Indianapolis, or was that not a big deal?
no, that's a big deal. Every year you hear about it. Growing up in Indiana, people go to Indianapolis for that event,
Right.
and that's something that I feel like Indiana probably takes pride in. We don't have a lot of events that we host that are like nationally televised. So
Yeah.
yeah, just growing up, just always watching everyone. I mean, every pro goes through that process. So you always watch it on TV, and being able to be on TV uh, was pretty cool as well. So being able to represent me and my family, and university and high schools that I was at before.
So when did you hit your developmental stage, your spurt as such? You said you were like, 165 pounds or whatever. And where did you blossom and develop physically? At
Yeah,
what age?
I think I took a big jump, like I said, in my redshirt freshman year. I jumped up to about 195.
Wow.
So I was 195 throughout my college career, and then I went out to Yo Murphy in Tampa for combine, and I weighed in at 201 or something like that, 202 at the combine. So I was gradually, building that up.
Right.
And then this past the quarantine year is when I hit a whole nother level, and I think that's why I had the success that I had, in my third year, just because I was able to, kind of lock in, and I was with my trainer back at home, Lawrence Barnett, with traction. And he just, we had a plan, and I think he did a really good job of executing it. So um, I felt like I took another jump there, and I'm continuing to build on it. This year, it's a wicked year. We're going into OTAs, and you're kind of still thinking about training, getting stronger, but also focusing on the football side of it. So it's very exciting, very exciting.
You get drafted in the second round, 54th pick of the draft with the Bengals. And in your first 3 years, write it down. You're going to be a 100 tackle guy. I think you averaged 107 tackles in your first 3 years. You've hit 100 mark every single year, like 74 or 75 of them unassisted. You're between 71 and 79, in those 3 years, and 3 interceptions every single year. You've averaged 3 interceptions a year, 9 picks over the 3 years. So your performance is so consistent. What do you attribute that consistency to? And is there another level to what you're looking to get done?
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed and very excited for myself after, just going back this off season and watching myself throughout year three and just seeing the leap of my game. I felt like from year two to year three, as far as tackling and just knowing the knowledge of plays and formations and stuff like that, I was on it, honestly. Like I had a really good feel for every single week
Right.
of what to expect, and I feel like that's why I had a lot of PBUs and I think about 4 or 5 of them should have been interceptions. So, I get excited about, I had 3 interceptions in my first 3 years of what I've kind of built up in these first 3 years, but it's not even close to what I want to be at or what the ceiling is for me. So, that's what continues to motivate me, being able to continue to build on that. And then, my role also, increases as well on this team, going into my fourth year. So just being able to just take it all in and, being able to handle it and being able to balance stuff. And because, a lot of time when people have success and their role starts to increase, they forget to what got them there. So, and I feel like I have the right people around me, whether that's my family, my friends, coaches. I'm very excited for what the future holds for me.
Yeah, 15 passes broken up last year, 15 of them, man. And I think you were as big a Pro Bowl snub as I can remember in a long time because you were second team All Pro. Pro Football Focus rated you the best safety in the National Football League, and you don't play in the Pro Bowl. Well, Pro Bowl was an issue last year anyway, but
Right.
to not make the Pro, what the heck, man? That just goes to show you that it's not all. I don't know what it is. The system's broken, I guess.
No, I think those things are very hard to decide on. You look at all the guys that were in the Pro Bowl or in the first team All Pro. Those guys had really good years as well. They're really good players. So, like I said, that's what continues to motivate me to be better than those guys. And some of those guys I was looking up to in high school.
Sure.
So it kind of flips your mind to, now you're in that, you're floating your name in there a little bit. So, take the next step and level up in your game. So I'm excited to do that year 4.
Let me take you back to 2 plays and get your memories. Your first interception in the National Football League doesn't take you long. The first quarter of your second game in the NFL, you pick off Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
What do you remember about that interception, your first one?
Yeah. It was early in the game, 0-0. I think it was maybe the second or third drive. And I saw the over route, and they were running the post behind me as well. And I open up, acting like I'm running to the post, and I kind of fall right into the over that Crabtree was
Yep.
running. And I felt like that kind of set the tone for the game. I think AJ had like 3 touchdowns in the first half of that game. So it was just it was just it was just crazy. My whole family was there. I think that was on primetime football as well. So uh, it seems like the second game of my first every step of my journey, the second game has been kind of like my breakthrough game. So
Is that right? Yeah,
so it's pretty cool.
that is crazy. Yeah, that was a Thursday night game
Yep,
against Baltimore Ravens
the
in
Ravens.
Cincinnati. Yep. And all right, let me ask you another one. Your first pick six against Tampa Bay.
Yep.
You beat Tampa Bay. Jameis Winston, you pick him off and you take it, I think 21 yards, something like that, for a touchdown. What do you remember about that play?
Yeah, we were in I think a cover three like vision and break, and I'm coming down. I get a break out of the post, so I'm always excited for that type of stuff. So when I'm not in the middle of the field, Dave, just expect me to do something crazy because I get to finally kind of roam around.
Right.
Um, but yeah, we were in like a cover three vision and break, and I was just read his eyes, and I think that was like his fourth interception. So. And then he got pulled, and then Fitzpatrick came in and kind of lit us up a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, we
Still won
we
it
were
though.
we were playing good football before that bye weekend. I think
Yeah.
my rookie year.
Yeah. Ended up winning that football game as well.
Crazy time is flying, man. It's crazy.
I know it is, isn't it? I mean, it is absolutely that. Now you've taken on the role as player rep as well. I mean, it's a tribute to what the team thinks of you and your leadership and intelligence and everything that goes along with it. But you're involved with the Players Association as the player rep here in Cincinnati, and for the organized team activities this past week, you had 100% attendance, which is not the norm in the National Football League with what's going on now. Take us through the process that you were involved with in terms of making decisions, when to practice, how to practice, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Just I feel like Gino did a really good job of just passing it on to me. He's like, hey, like I got released, so hey, you're the head rep now. So just being in the meetings, being able to just listen in. I think that's what I do best when I'm sitting in meetings and I'm just being able to write down notes.
Right.
Being able to just take it to the team. I think that's my job. As much as just like making decisions on my own, I take the information that the NFLPA gives me, and I try to bring it to our team, and I try to bring guys together to make a collective decision, not just based on mine, because there's just so many different situations people are in the locker room. Some guys are, they have their workout bonus or they're on their third, second deal. Then you have some of the young guys are trying to prove themselves, and they're going to do whatever
Right. Right.
to be in the building. So just making it make sense for everybody was the biggest thing this offseason. I think a lot of players are using their leverage a little bit with things being optional. A lot of times years before, everything was optional, but it was mandatory. And I think a lot of guys, it's starting to make sense doing the walkthroughs and stuff like that right now, and also building strength, being able to condition, and then going to training camp, taking care of your bodies and stuff like that. So I think there will be a change of off seasons, moving forward. And I'm excited that I was able to be, the guy to bring everybody in and be, there's not going to be everybody happy when you're making decisions, but just try to get people's opinions and, just make the best decision for not just me, for everyone. So.
Yeah, and it was interesting. DJ Reader on the Zoom presser said, hey, we went 4-11-1. We got work to do. We want to get started on doing that work. And you made a great point in your Zoom presser that, it's just good to be able to actually look in the guy's eye and see him in the huddle and listen to the communication, break the huddle. Even shake a guy's hand and see what he's about. You got new teammates, you have new coaches, a lot of things that you want to start that bonding process, right?
Yeah, it's unbelievable how I think our coaches are doing a really good job. Coach Taylor, we were being very, having a communication, open conversation about what guys want during this off season and what is going to be the best, what's going to be the most valuable time that we can really get stuff out of. And I think we were going through some of our installs and just talking to Mike Hilton. I'm very excited to play with him. And those guys in the back end, And we're talking about stuff that we're talking about, week one, prepare, and just that's how it is this year. We're able to, all the way install our playbook and talk about things that we were talking about in week one, like I said, week two, trying to fix. And now we have, the solution for those. So, like I said, I'm excited. I'm excited for the future. I'm excited to be a part of it and reset the standard in Cincinnati.
So with all the newness in terms of player additions in free agency
Yep.
the last couple of years and the draft over the last couple of years, I mean, you and Sam Hubbard, it's almost like other than you guys need, some tape on the helmet to introduce yourselves, right? I mean, it's all new bodies out there.
Yeah, it's crazy. Honestly, we're doing 11-on-11 walkthroughs, and we get in the huddle, and like Logan Wilson's in front of the huddle, like we're looking around, like, oh, what's up, everybody? Everybody doesn't have handshakes yet. It's just, something new, and I think that's a good thing because a lot of people have something to prove, and they want to prove it to each other, to other teams in the league. So I'm like I said, it's exciting to be here right now.
The defense, Lou Anarumo likes to be able to morph from 3-4 to 4-3, and almost like the Patriots are so good at being able to change what they're doing without substituting a whole lot of personnel. They have position versatility, and it looks like the Bengals are really, emphasizing position versatility and being able to do a lot of things without substituting personnel and cause some confusion and that sort of thing. Do you think that's the way it's advancing?
Yeah, I just feel like you got guys that are, we want to blitz at times. We want to, be able to look the same way and do different things. And I think being able to bring in these guys that we have, some of their strengths are some of the stuff that we want to do. Like Mike, I'm going to be able to, we can show cover 4 and then he blitzes and I'm covering the slot. So just being able to have, a guy like him, guys that can rush the passer. We're putting in new stuff. I can't say too much, obviously, but
Right.
It's some different stuff, and stuff that maybe that he wanted to put in before, but we didn't just have the people for it. So yeah, I think that's what you do every year. You kind of evaluate what you have, and you try to use everybody's strengths to the defense ability to have success. So I'm excited.
And I do, people talk about, oh yeah, injuries, that's an excuse. Well, it's a fact, it's a reality. And you guys dealt with some serious injury last year, particularly, up front. You guys, it was a tough situation for you defensively. How hard is it to deal with a season like that?
Yeah, I go back every year and I just kind of evaluate every year as far as not just personally, as far as like the team as well. And I was thinking, I'm like, I haven't had a starting quarterback for a whole season in my first 3 years.
Wow.
Which is a position that is critical.
Yep.
To winning games.
It's true.
Nothing against the backup, whoever the backup quarterback was in that time. Right. Just having a backup quarterback and being able to have success and go to the playoffs, win your division is pretty damn hard. So I think yes, that is that shows you the first 3 years were kind of rough, but you kind of put yourself into it, and you don't want it to just be a waste of a year. Of the NFL, you kind of look at it and you try to evaluate it and learn from it, and then hopefully in year 10, I'm gonna be like, hey, like I remember when this thing was rock bottom.
Yeah.
When we were only winning 1 or 2 games, and just being able to have that experience and use it to my advantage, is something that people will value as well.
Sure. How big was it then, based on what you're talking about, to see Joe Burrow out there, doing what he was doing right away in OTAs, and obviously going to do it. Don't take the kid gloves off. Make sure that don't do anything too crazy too soon. But to see him out there doing what he did, how encouraging was that to everybody? Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realize self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Yeah, I was in the press conference and I said, you hear all this stuff online, like you hear Dr. So-and-so said that Joe Burrow is going to be ready week 1. And, you just hear all these rumors, and then you're being able to see him do stuff on the field, throw the ball. Obviously, it's limited, but, his improvement, from the first time I saw him when he was hurt to now is unbelievable. And his mindset is just unbelievable. And I wouldn't be surprised if he was comeback player of the year.
Yeah.
Just because I know, his mindset. He was one of the guys that was pushing to guys to be in the building for OTAs. And for him to, actually be out there is a big deal. It'll be different if he was just sitting on the sideline drinking Gatorade and doing his own workouts. But
Right.
I mean, he's doing everything that the other quarterbacks are doing and, the whole team is doing. So I can't say enough about him. You guys always ask about him, and I'm always high on him. So I'm looking forward to, build a good relationship with Joe these next couple of years. And, he's a solid dude, and you want, those type of people in your life. So,
Sure.
yeah.
So first year of 17 regular season games, 3 preseason games. Big deal or not a big deal?
Yeah, I think it's a big deal. I don't know. Honestly, it's just like you kind of go into the season and it is what it is. Honestly, like it's a business, and if they add a game, then hey, we got to play another game.
Right.
But obviously it does suck. At the end of the year, some people clinch their playoff games, and are they going to be playing backups, against starters, and it's just kind of mixes up with how guys think. I mean, you have a roster of 53 men in there, and they want to play against the best every week. And if that comes up, I think there will be problems. But I'm all for it. I love football. I'm gonna rock it out regardless.
So yourself and Sam Hubbard are 2 young leaders of the defensive football team, and I would think that the organization would want to extend the contracts of Jessie Bates and Sam Hubbard. That would be a priority order of business. Are you of a mindset where if they came to you and said, Jesse, look, we would like to extend you, would like to get this done even before training camp or sometime during training camp, would that be cool with Jessie Bates?
Yeah, obviously, it's something that I don't really worry about as much. I feel like I position myself with the right people to be in charge of that.
Yep.
And I'm sure that they know, what to do. It's not their first time doing it. So
Right.
Just being able to have the trust in them and, just worrying about what I can control. And that is getting our team prepared for the season to win a football game. I think that I am a leader of this team on the defensive side. And, I've been a part of this thing through the thick and thin of it. And I'm excited for where it can go. So, like I said, I'm going to worry about the football part and doing my job and, doing the right things my way. And then, if it works out, it works out.
What have you learned at this stage of your NFL career in terms of nutrition and, proper rest and taking care of your body and all the things that go along with it? It's going to extend your career, obviously. And you've played every game. I mean, you get 48 games possibility, and Jessie Bates, man, write it down. He's playing. He's available. You're accountable, available. All those kind of things are big, aren't they?
Yeah, I think that goes into big, when you're talking about contracts and stuff like that. but yeah, availability is the best thing that you can have.
Yep.
You know, I feel like I take care of my body, so there's a reason why I don't miss out on a lot of games. I actually just was looking back, setting up my budget for this coming up season. Looking back, I was kind of over on my training expenses and taking care of my body last year, so we had to budget up a little bit more. So yeah, I take pride in that. I call my Dr. Thumbs. He takes care of me. And Misty also in Cincinnati, they take good care of me as far as having a massage 2 times a week, flying, our doctor out or whatever it is. So it's no surprise. I take pride in it, and it shows off. It pays off.
What's the biggest thing you've learned that will lend itself to success in the National Football League your first 3 years in the league?
Um, it wouldn't be the football side of it, honestly, Dave. Like I think a lot of people struggle with the lifestyle of the first 3 years in the NFL.
Hmm.
I remember me coming in. I was 20 years old, training for the combine and stuff like that. And just like the mindset of a 21-year-old, 20-year-old going into the league.
Right.
You
Right.
have money in your pocket. You have a lot of free time, and money is powerful. And you can do good things with it. You can impact people's lives. You can create opportunities for other people, or you can just it can really get to your head, and the lifestyle could really get to your head. And I've seen a lot of guys go on the other side of it, not just because it kind of overwhelmed them. They kind of got drowned by the lifestyle. So I've seen a lot of guys get sucked in and spit right back out. And I think that's a part that people don't really talk about when people ask those type of questions of what have you learned in your first 3 years. Football is football. You're going to adjust to the speed and stuff like that, just
Right.
mentally, because you learn new things. But as far as just like the lifestyle, Dave, it's crazy. And some people get caught up into it. You can have fun, and still enjoy your time, but you got to have the balance in your life for sure.
Who's the person that you learned the most football from over your years as you prepared and even into the National Football League? Is there somebody that you've learned the most football from?
I would, as far as a coach, I think Coach Elko, going from high school to college, Coach Elko, who was with Wake Forest and then he went to Notre Dame. Now he's the DC at Texas A&M.
Right.
Um, he was like he took my game to a next level as far as that redshirt year mentally.
Right.
And then I think that's why I had some success my redshirt freshman year. Um, I think as far as a coach, yeah, Coach Elko, and then Sean Williams. My first 3 years was somebody I leaned on throughout those first 3 years, and he just taught me everything. How the game goes, how the business side goes. Um, just what to kind of expect. From a safety. What was his standards for me every year. From a leader, now I'm that guy. I feel like now I'm Sean, and
Right.
I have to lead other guys. So he did a hell of a job taking me under his wing. So I'm always thankful for Sean, and he's like family to me. My family always asking about him, asking about his kids and stuff like
Really.
that. So
That's great.
that's what this game's about. You build relationships that'll last you for a lifetime.
So, who was the player that you were watching on TV as growing up or whatever, high school or even college football, and all of a sudden there you are out in the field in the National Football League, lining up against this guy, or going to be matched up somehow against him, and it was like the aha moment was like, wow, here I am. This is what I've been working for. Was there any kind of moment like that against any player?
I would say obviously quarterbacks are a position that you obviously hear about growing up.
Right.
And that's somebody that I'm always staring at. They're staring at me
Yep.
throughout the whole game. So I've had encounters with like Phillip Rivers. So I grew up playing Pop Warner. It's called Metro in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And I played for the Chargers. So I was always watching LT. Every time I would score, I would hit the LT little flip thing, like flipping the ball. So watching Antonio Gates, like Phillip Rivers was like, the guy for me.
Yeah.
And then I go pick him off at Indy. Like
Yep.
it's just like stuff like that is just mind blowing to me. Big Ben, like just like legends that grew up in my era, like my whole life of watching football. I think that's probably the most exciting thing. I gotta probably get a picture with Big Ben before he retires, or actually, I gotta get a pic and then he has to sign the football. So
There you go.
I gotta make that happen this year. I dropped like 2 or 3 on him already, so it's so funny because like I'm able to like talk stuff to him on the field and like Monday night game.
Yeah.
Like
Monday
just
night.
talking stuff to him like, Ben, you better wake up. And he's like, all right, watch this. Like that's pretty cool. I'll be able to tell my kids and my grandkids about that stuff in the future.
You mentioned I'm always looking at the quarterback. He's always looking at me. What is that cat and mouse game like between you guys? I mean, I'm going to fool you with my eyes, and you guys can fool quarterbacks with your eyes, or a false alignment or whatever. Take us through some of that chess match that goes on in the cat and mouse game between you and quarterbacks.
Yeah, it goes key into the other safety. You guys have to be on the same page as far as what you're going to show,
right?
Or the quarterback's obviously going to know it's BS.
Right.
So me and Vaughn, Sean did a good job. I think my rookie year, I was just like, cover 3, so line up in the middle of the field. I wasn't really worried about disguises, but that's what happens. You develop into your game, and now I can show a little bit and then get back to where I can. And I think that's where I kind of made a lot of my plays doing that. So it's funny. Quarterback, I always mess with Joe. I think that's where me and him always, throughout training camp, I'm like showing cover 2 and I'm coming back to the middle. Just being able to, work on your game in that way against a premier quarterback throughout training camp is pretty dope.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Makes everybody better.
Yeah, sure.
You mentioned Von Bell. The Bengals have their own killer bees. You get Bates and Bell, this tandem at the safety position, the B brothers. What's it like playing with a safety like that?
Yeah, Vaughn has the mindset of like the dude wakes up at 5:00 in the morning before everybody. He's like the first one in the building. He's working out before practice. It's just like, what I'm saying? He just has that mindset.
Right.
A lot of people need that, and I feel like he can be a little bit more vocal in his second year. His first year, he's being able to come in and he was just working, and now he's being able to actually know people and connect with people, and be a true leader. So I'm excited for what we both got in store, and we don't take it lightly either. We text each other. We're keeping in touch with each other throughout the off season, trying to set our goal. Like we're setting individual goals, but we're trying to set goals for each other. Being able to hold each other accountable. And then you add Rico, who has a lot of football played. He played in the Super Bowl, has a lot of knowledge that I'm gonna be able to soak in from him. So I'm excited.
The division, the AFC North, no joke. I mean, Baltimore, Cleveland, Pittsburgh. I mean, you better buckle the chin strap up, man. Make sure it's nice and tight. What's it like playing in that division?
Yeah, you got to take pride in it. Honestly, it's not for everybody. I tell you that much.
Yep.
The cities. I think every city in the AFC North is football. It's like gritty. It's gritty football. And people have swag, and I think that's why it's always a little chippy throughout games, because it's rough. It can get rough in the AFC North, and I think a lot of people, like I said, take pride in it. So yeah, you go top to bottom. You got some players in this division. So yeah, it's tough. It's no joke.
Yeah, there's no question. So I know you're early in the OTAs. You've only had your first 3 of them, but is there anybody that has caught your eye? That like Trey Waynes, for example,
Mm.
was unable to do anything last year because he tore the pec, early, working out in the off season with bench press stuff. Any guys that you said, man, look at some of these guys, man, they're going to really help us. Anybody come to mind, or do you hesitate to single guys out, or what do you think?
No, I think everybody, just people being there, was the first thing that I was just impressed with. And then you could just hear the way they're talking ball, they're talking about the installs and stuff like that. These new guys, and they know it, and they know what to expect, and we're speaking the same terminologies before we even go through the install.
Right.
So a lot of these dudes have a lot of a very high IQ. So that's probably the most thing I've been impressed with. I think um, sometimes people struggle with the playbook and stuff like that, and they've caught right onto it with no question. So yeah, I don't know anybody to single out, but I'm excited.
Yeah, you're another great example to me. Over the years, I've found that coaches have tremendous confidence in smart football players. I mean, more guys you can get out on the field that have an idea, have a clue as to not just tunnel vision, what they're supposed to do, but understand why they're doing it because they see the big picture. The more of those kind of guys you can get, the better off you're going to be, right?
Yeah, the more that why the coach is calling this coverage and what to expect, that's where plays are made. And that's where games are won and lost when you anticipate stuff. Like there shouldn't just be one guy doing it, getting to the ball. There should be two guys on the ball, vice tackling it. And that's the kind of standard that we're going to continue to build here. I think they asked me a question about like what is the standard. You kind of go through these OTAs and you figure out how to practice. Like what is our standard? And that's why I said I don't know. It was like day one or day two or whatever. I think that's when you really figure out you're building the foundation. You showing how to treat people in the building. You're showing
Right.
what the rules are of the team. So I'm happy that guys are here, and it's going to be a very productive, I think, next 10 days or whatever it is. So.
Lou Anarumo, the defensive coordinator, he cut his teeth as a secondary coach. I mean, that's his forte. He coached the back end successfully for a number of years. And now as a coordinator, he takes great pride in what goes on in the back end. And he thinks a lot of you, and I know you think a lot of him. Do you think that you guys' special connection will do nothing but help you blossom your career?
Yeah, I think Coach Lou knows what I can do well, what I do well, and he's coached good players before me, so
Yeah.
he's seen it before. It's not his first time seeing a good safety. Um, so him just being able to challenge me, him and Rob Livingston uh, are two guys that I go to at the bye weekend. I'm like, hey, like what can I get better at in
Yeah.
these last 8 weeks? What are three things that I can get better at? And I value their opinion. That's why I ask. So yeah, I think having that connection will be able to have me blitz sometimes, like get me a blitz here and there, getting me out of the middle field here and there, uh, and just having an understanding, be able to have a conversation one on one of why he's calling that. Sometimes coaches have to say stuff like in front of the team, and then they kind of tell you like what's up. So
Right.
I like being able to have those conversations with him, and being able to also tell other players to kind of see it through the same eye as Coach Lou and I. So I think that Coach Lou talks to me and Vaughn the most because we're the ones that are kind of talking to everybody and kind of organizing the defense. So.
Yeah, I remember during the Olympics, Coach Brooks said to Mike Ruzioni, the captain, said, "Look, when I'm mad at you, I'll yell Mike. When I'm mad at the team, it's Ruzioni. Just so you know that I'm always going to be yelling at you, but it might not necessarily be intended for you, but you're going to take the brunt of it from everybody, And there's
Trust me,
always some of that.
Coach Lou's good for a couple of just going crazy on me a couple of times. We've had a couple of those experiences for sure.
Final question. I appreciate you carving all the time you did. This has been a lot of fun and very informative. 3 years in, if you had to do like the self-scout now of Jessie Bates after 3 years, what do you think your strengths are, and what's the biggest thing you need to work on as compared to when you first came into the league as a rookie?
Yeah, now I feel like I've showed that I can play a little bit in the box, be able to get TFLs and be productive in that way, and not just playing the ball out of the middle of the field.
Right.
I think that a lot of people have noticed that I'm diagnosing a lot of plays, and I'm jumping a lot of routes that I'm not even supposed to be there for, but I'm there, and it's just I gotta make the next step, and that's making the play. You think about, I always tell you, I think we always have the conversation about him. I could have won a couple of games, I feel like, last year of just making a play.
Yeah.
And that's what we need, not just for me, but other guys. And that's the name of the league is, make the plays, and whoever makes the most plays are going to win the game. So I'm not sure I forgot what you said. What if I was a scout going into?
Yeah, if you were self-scouting and you've got 3 years.
So like I said,
yeah,
my strengths, I would say, obviously ball skills, coming out of the middle of the field. I think I play the middle of the field it's very unique how I play the middle of the field, being able to play deep, but also have an impact on some of these short routes that are thrown. So yeah, it's something that Coach Livingston always says. You can't teach. Like, it's just having a feel for it, and being able to process it. But my weaknesses, I would say my tackling still has to improve. You're gonna have these backs one-on-one, and they're gonna make you miss sometimes. But being able to limit the missed tackles that I've had throughout my first 3 years, and even last year, I think I took a big step last year as far as putting my pads on people and being more aggressive. But there's still a couple of open field tackles, that I have to be consistent with, and getting people down. So I think that's what you look for in a free safety. Being able to play middle of the field. They do a little motion, and you're being able to blitz off the edge here and there, play man-to-man. I think I can do everything. And I'm not, like I said, not even close to what it's really going to be someday.
Well, the thing I admire you most about as a player is you got great instincts. You have really good football instincts, and that can lend itself to making a lot of plays. But when you compound it with film study, and now it's not guessing instincts, it's instincts based on information and study, it takes you to another level of football player, and that's where you are. I mean, that's where you're tracking big time, and I really respect you as a football player, man.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate the support that you always give me.
And appreciate you for carving time, like I said, and visiting with us. And one last question. Young football players listening to this podcast right now, maybe young safeties, what would you advise them? What's the biggest thing they need to do to be as good a player as they possibly can be, Jesse?
I would say, everybody's different. I think a lot of times people tend to compare themselves, but everybody's journey is very unique. So just being able to ask people questions, being able to be humble enough. If you don't know, being able to be humble enough to ask questions and not being scared. I think now a lot of people are kind of looking at social media, and they're like, hey, you got to do, they're trying to do everything that Instagram that looks cool, but nobody kind of wants to do the gritty work. I think the approval thing is big nowadays, Dave. People are getting the wrong approval from people.
Right.
And, it's all about who you surround yourself with. So like I said, you have to prepare yourself is the first thing. You have to prepare yourself, and everything, obviously, ask questions, like I said. Figure out what your strengths are, figure out what your weaknesses are, just like you asked me.
Yeah.
I think that would be big, of hiding what your weaknesses are. Hide those weaknesses, and be able to show your strengths more. And I think that'll get you a long way. It's just work. You gotta work hard, man. I feel like a lot of people want instant gratification right now. Like they want everything right now. When it's a process. Like this stuff doesn't come easy. Um, so yeah, I think you gotta do that. Live right. Keep God first.
Well, appreciate you. Thanks for the knowledge. Have the best day you ever had, my man.
Thank you, Dave. Have a good weekend, man.